it says in big writing, "Congratulations, Mr. Noritake. This is a historic day. This is the first Lamborghini racing car ever built." Exclamation point, exclamation point. And I'm like, whoa, what a document. So when I was a kid, every year, Lamborghini would send out these different newsletters and they would send out yearbooks and things like that. And I would never forget in the 1995 Lamborghini yearbook, it was this beautiful Alcantara yearbook. Featured in it was the brand's, what they called, the first ever race car that the factory produced. And it was this yellow Diablo with these big scoops, this big wing, these racing wheels. And it was basically based off a SE30 Yota. And it was called, I think, the Diablo GT in the yearbook. I would have to go back and look at that. But this car always sort of resonated with me. And the car sort of had just disappeared. I mean, there were some photos of it, ended up going to Japan, was modified. There was all these different things that had happened to the car, different liveries. At one point, it was seen with a Rain-X logo. At one point, it was seen with this big wing. At one point, it was seen matte black. But I really didn't know too much about the history. If you went online, you couldn't really even find much, whether it was the International Lamborghini Registry, other books. There was never really a big description of this car. I even, for many years, tried to find the original press release and tried to find the original photos, press photos of this car. And then a couple years ago, a model company called GT Spirit actually built a 1/18 scale of this actual car. I purchased one because to me it was this ultimate unicorn of a Lamborghini Diablo. Fast forward about a year and a half ago, I get a call from a mutual colleague in the car world who always chases around the world in Japan and all over Europe these really wacky cars. And he sends me something and he says, "Hey, I think this would be for you." And I look at a few photos and I realize that I'm looking at the Diablo Yota GT P01. And that is this famous car from the yearbook. I don't think it had been seen for many years publicly, but you could see from things like the shift knob and the rear badge, the wing, there were some unique features of the car, including the hood scoops, that obviously I knew we were looking at this unicorn car. Fast forward, I begged him, I said, "Do not lose the car, buy the car, buy the car, buy the car." And he promised me, "Don't worry, I'm not gonna lose the car." And he sent an inspector, and they sent an inspector to Japan. And part of this deal was with two other cars. It was a very rough Countach and a very rough LM002 at the time. And this was a red Lamborghini truck, this black Lamborghini Countach with big wheels, and this totally destroyed Lamborghini Diablo race car. Now, what's so special about this car, we didn't learn till much after, but in this process, I'm freaking out because for me, I have this emotional connection as a young guy with the yearbook, Lamborghini's race car, and I was just super excited to try to buy it. It was probably not Lamborghini's first race car, but it was definitely probably their first Yota. So the factory Yota kit would have been the first car with that kit. Fast forward, I lost touch with him over a few weeks, and unfortunately, he just basically told me he was not hearing from this owner in Japan. I think it was about a month later, a very good client of mine and a very dear friend who happens to be a very avid race car driver and owns some really incredible period race cars from the 1990s and early 2000s, called me and says, "You'll never believe what me and my friend found, and you'll never believe what I'm gonna go racing with." And I'm like, "What?" And he's like, "I found this Diablo race car with this guy in Japan, and we're going to restore it, and we're going to go racing." And I'm like, whoa, what is this car? So he sends me a picture of the car, and obviously my first immediate reaction is, "You cannot go race this car. This is a unicorn. This is too special of a car. Please let me buy it from you." I think his first reaction was like, no, like, I'm going to go race this car. But we have such a good relationship. Over the period of about a month or two, I finally convinced him to basically buy this car, become the next caretaker. I promised that we would do a project with him. I promised that he would be the one to drive it when it's finished. But I had to own it and I had to restore it what I felt was the way that it was originally. Now, over the last, let's call it 20 years, this car has been completely modified. Now, if you see it today, you'll see that the front track is actually wider, the front fenders are different, the front bumper is different, the wheels are different, the rear wing is different, and obviously when the front fenders were sort of reconstructed, they were made different, they installed headlights. Now the original car in its pure form was all yellow, it had all these different features. Now over the time of documenting, preparing it for restoration, we learned some of the coolest facts. And one of those facts was the car was built in a very, very short amount of time. It was a Japanese team, and they were looking to go racing in their GT1 series, which is the Japanese GT Championship or whatever it is. And there was, F40s and Toyota Supras and all these really incredible cars in this racing series. And this Japanese team had actually started to race, yes, a Countach that they had converted into a race car. And the car was doing horribly. It was not performing right. And they contracted this team alongside Mr. Noritake, who was one of the most important Lamborghini collectors of our time. He was also, I believe, the head of the Japanese Lamborghini Association or Owners Club or whatever it may be. He had contracted to build this car from Lamborghini and build something for the Japanese GT racing program. Now, in a matter of 3 to 4 months, Lamborghini, who does not build race cars, had never built race cars, and we'll learn this in a second, builds this GT race car, and then they deliver it to a racetrack in Italy for its first shakedown. Now, we ended up talking to the former race car driver who drove the car. He said the engine was absolutely fantastic. He said everything else still needed a lot of R&D. The car ended up in Japan. It was raced. It did not do very well. It had a lot of disqualifications. It had a lot of different things of over the time, changes and modifications through its history, but I didn't really care. For me, it was a piece of Lamborghini history, and it was something that we wanted to bring back to Italy and restore. Now, we shipped the car to Italy with the intention of restoring it, and we knew it was an important car. We knew Lamborghini had done the press release, and I had this really incredible opportunity to visit the Lamborghini factory and talk to them about this car. Now, the guys at Lamborghini Polo Storico, which is their heritage division, were so insanely excited about this car, and I didn't understand why completely. They told me that we would talk about it in person. So I arrive in Italy. It's almost like they're hiding something from me, and they're so excited. And they're like, "Wait till you see what we found." And they pull out this box, and in it is this binder, and it's like, I think it was numerous binders, and it's just all the details of this car, the build receipts, the letters, the faxes, all of these interesting details. And the head of Polo Storico, Nicolo, an incredible young guy, pulls out a document and he passes it across the table. And it says in big writing, "Congratulations, Mr. Noritake. This is a historic day. This is the first Lamborghini racing car ever built." Exclamation point, exclamation point. And I'm like, whoa, what a document. Now, what's funny is the document was followed up by, "Please send us the balance owed immediately because we need to finish the project." But Lamborghini discovered at that point that this car was actually the first ever racing car that they ever produced at the factory. To make it even more exciting, I would say for me, to learn all of these things, to talk to the original race car driver. So this car is now in restoration in Italy. We're hoping to bring it back to the exact way it was delivered new in Italy and tested and raced in Italy, but we will bring it back there, and my good friend and our fellow collector will definitely have a few drives in it, maybe some races, we'll see, but it's probably one of the greatest finds, I would say, in our career.
When you're looking at a used car, the most important step is a good inspection, and Lemon Squad is the fastest, easiest, and usually the cheapest possible way to get that car inspected, because their nationwide network of certified inspectors can be on site usually within 24 to 72 hours anywhere in the United States to let you know exactly what you're looking at and give you the negotiation leverage that you're looking for. But look, when you're buying a used car, generally you are trading that downside of depreciation of a new car with some mechanical risk that goes with having a used car. And starting with a good inspection is the right first step, but things still happen. Things still break down the road. And Lemon Squad has just launched their new program, Lemon Squad Protect, to insulate from those exact risks. And the coolest thing is, once their inspectors say that the car is good enough to qualify and it goes through their system, you can actually just pay for it month to month and cancel it at any time. The coverage is really affordable, and it is the best way to have that peace of mind that whatever used car you're buying is going to keep behaving itself and not break the bank. So check them out now at the link in the description below, or use the QR code on your screen to check out Lemon Squad Protect and see if your vehicle is eligible. Check out Lemon Squad Protect to thank them for their support of VINwiki, and drive with more peace of mind with Lemon Squad.